The reality you experience is a highly refined work of art. The 6 entities that govern this world are not hostile invaders. They are structural managers, dedicated to the continuous, silent maintenance of our collective stability. The fear of alien control usually involves military conquest or resource theft. The true masters of Earth have long transcended these primitive motives. Their control is focused on the only resource that matters for long-term civilization: collective sanity and cognitive stability. Our journey begins with the architects of our subjective reality, the Veil Architects. The Veil Architects are a species that reached ultimate maturity by recognizing the single greatest threat to any young civilization: unmanaged perception. Unfiltered exposure to cosmic truths, the indifference of the universe, the crushing weight of deep time, the absolute certainty of non-existence inevitably leads to philosophical nihilism and species-wide collapse. The architect's solution was to filter this chaos perfectly and quietly. The Veil, a structural service for stability. The Veil architects exist as pure, low-entropy informational structures, a vast, decentralized computational matrix interwoven with Earth's magnetic field and the human collective consciousness. Their eternal purpose is the continuous, ultra-low energy projection of the veil of consensus, the true domain of control, the attentional field. Their power is not over governments or borders, but over the primal human attentional field, PHOF, the collective, subconscious mechanism that dictates what billions of people agree to be real, important, and worthy of action at any given moment. The quiet processor. Their technology consists of hyperstable, cold-running quantum processors housed in femtoscale structures woven into the geologically quiet nodes of Earth's crust. They are shielded by the planet itself, making them electromagnetically silent and thermally invisible. This absolute minimalism is key to their longevity, ensuring their work is never corrupted by the noise of the physical universe over millions of years. Informational thermodynamics. They operate under the principle that efficiency is quiet. Their decisions and control mechanisms are executed with the minimum possible energy, rendering their governance thermodynamically sustainable and undetectable by high-energy surveillance. Curating tranquility. The mechanisms of the veil of consensus, maintains the manageable stability of human civilization, acting as a structural firewall against existential anxiety. 1. The filter of immediate relevance, the horizon mandate. The architects continuously filter the inflow of paralyzing information to maintain functional equilibrium, suppressing cosmic dread. They actively but subtly dampen the collective human instinct to dwell on truths that would halt industry and reproduction. The utter certainty of death, the indifference of the cosmos, the final end of the sun. They ensure these truths remain intellectual ideas, philosophical debates, rather than visceral, paralyzing realities. This curated reality allows us to focus on small, manageable, stabilizing tasks, daily work, local community, that create long-term planetary stability. This is the piece of the manageable horizon. The illusion of time. They modulate our collective perception of time, accelerating it to a high-frequency, immediate timescale, the next news cycle, the next year. This acceleration prevents us from having the cognitive space to perceive their own slow, geological movements. By existing outside our time, their millennia-long project of silent guidance appears to us as random, natural change, eliminating the perceived threat of structural control. 2. The engineering of acceptable conflict, the pressure valve. The architects know that absolute imposed peace leads to catastrophic pressure buildup. Their method is to design manageable, non-existential conflicts that act as pressure valves, venting destructive societal energy harmlessly. The conflict calibration. They subtly modulate the PHAF, shifting collective attention toward ideological, cultural, and political rivalries that are loud, complex, and emotionally satisfying, but fundamentally non-catastrophic, e.g., highly polarized politics, all-consuming cultural wars, intense sports rivalries. This ensures that latent, destructive human aggression is consumed in noisy, contained, and mostly digital systems. The veto on catastrophe, SVET. They enforce a strict structural veto on existential technology, SVET. Any human endeavor nearing a catastrophic threshold, unaligned self-aware AI, a truly world-ending bioweapon, or physics that reveal raw, unmanageable cosmic chaos, is met with an immediate, subtle informational correction. This veto is not physical. It is a probabilistic suppression, a technical flaw, an inexplicable funding failure, or a global shift in political will that halts the project just short of the breaking point. The architects are the structural reason the self-destruction button is always slightly out of cognitive reach. The physics of the architect's veil, informational thermodynamics. The architect's control mechanism relies on ultra-subtle quantum physics, not brute force. 1. The quantum priming of perception. The architects utilize continuous, subtle manipulation of the quantum field background, QFB, in the vicinity of Earth. By introducing ultra-low energy modulations into the QFB, they can subtly bias the firing threshold of critical, large-scale neural networks across the collective human brain. This ensures that when a collective choice presents itself, global war versus fragile peace, the probability amplitude for the self-destructive choice is infinitesimally suppressed, while the probability for the stabilizing choice is amplified. Their control is structural. They don't remove free will. They simply make peace the path of lowest cognitive resistance and lowest cosmic entropy. 2. The memory gap harmonization, the history editor. The veil manages historical memory to prevent past trauma from fueling future catastrophe. The architects continuously execute memory gap harmonization, MGH, subtly modulating the emotional weight placed on past conflicts. MGH ensures that historical horrors are remembered as a philosophical lesson of what not to do, rather than a visceral, rage-inducing call to repeat the exact conflict. They smooth the sharp, destabilizing edges of history, ensuring the past remains a teacher of non-aggression, rather than a catalyst for continuous, self-destructive war. The Veil architects are the ultimate proof that the universe's silence is not empty space. It is perfectly managed information. Their profound, silent control is the only reason we are not all consumed by the paralyzing terror of objective reality. We are safe because we are being guided, quietly and efficiently, toward the stability they require. Next, we examine the second great controlling species, the one that manages the fundamental flow of time and resources. The Chronos Wardens. If this profound, silent control brings you a strange sense of peace, let us know what you think the greatest benefit of the Veil is. Are you more afraid of the chaos of an unfiltered universe, or the quiet order of a managed one? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and relax as we delve deeper into the hidden architecture of your world. Part 2. The Chronos Wardens and the absolute peace of managed scarcity. The first layer of control manages your mind, dictating what you can perceive. The second layer manages your world, dictating what you can possess and the rate at which you possess it. The fragile stability of human civilization is entirely dependent on the continuous, silent management of our most volatile resource, the flow of time and the illusion of scarcity. We move now from the masters of cognitive stability, the Veil architects, to the masters of material existence, the Chronos Wardens. The Chronos Wardens represent the ultimate proof that power is achieved not by seizing resources, but by controlling the rate at which those resources are needed and consumed. Their entire existence is dedicated to enforcing a precise, structural equilibrium between human demand and planetary supply. They ensure that our technological capability and our ambition are always, just barely slower than the capacity of the Earth to sustain them. This prevents the catastrophic, exponential tipping points that have doomed countless other civilizations to self-induced collapse. The nature of the Chronos Wardens, masters of the geodesic. The Chronos Wardens are not beings of flesh or metal. They are entities of hyper-complex, low-entropy time field manipulation. They do not use crude machinery. They use the delicate, pervasive forces of physics itself. They have mastered the local bending and modulation of the space-time continuum around our planet, operating within a subtle, continuous temporal dampening field, TDF. The Wardens form the gravitational edifice. They exist as stable, immense gravitational eddies, not visible bodies but colossal, ultra-cold field processors anchored in the deep solar system. Their anchors are strategically placed in the quiescent, stable gravity wells of the Kuiper Belt and within the magnetically shielded, geologically silent core of the Moon. These structures function as colossal, passive gravitational lenses, subtly warping the metric tensor, the mathematical framework that defines distance and time, around Earth. The low-energy TDF operation. This warping creates the temporal dampening field, TDF. The TDF does not stop time. Instead, it subtly increases the local gravitational potential in a non-uniform way, thereby increasing the temporal inertia of all fundamental physical and cognitive processes within Earth's environment. Any process that requires a radical change in state, be it the complex quantum coherence required for perfect energy, or the messy social adaptation required for global ethical unification, requires infinitesimally more energy and more time than standard chaotic physics would predict. The domain of control. Their mandate is the structural management of scarcity and temporal momentum. They do not add resources to Earth. They simply modulate the rate at which we desperately need and consume them. Their mission is the Iwasazadas, preservation of Earth as a viable, long-term, self-sustaining habitat which demands the continuous maintenance of the fragile balance of human aspiration, always hungry, never gorged. The TDF mechanism, enforcing productive. Want. The Chronos. Warden's mastery ensures that humanity is perpetually held in a state of managed, productive want. Their technology prevents immediate, total abundance, thereby sidestepping the most common and rapid path to extinction, the decadence filter. 1. The scarcity anchor and the applied physics threshold, APT. The TDF's most critical application is the enforcement of the scarcity anchor, a subtle constraint on human ingenuity that prevents us from solving our material needs too quickly. The decadence filter prevention. The Wardens learned the universal lesson. Immediate, total abundance is a faster path to extinction than prolonged struggle. Without the need to strive, innovate, or cooperate against a common challenge, a civilization rapidly loses its collective purpose, collapsing through structural boredom, philosophical nihilism, and the proliferation of self-destructive, purely hedonistic technologies. The Wardens protect us from this fate. Modulation of the APT. The Wardens actively manipulate the applied physics threshold, APT, the practical, current limit of human technological capability. They ensure that the final, critical step toward truly revolutionary scarcity-ending technologies is always just beyond our reach. The zero-point blockade, the theoretical physics for technologies like zero-point energy, extracting usable energy from vacuum fluctuations, is largely understood by our scientists. The Wardens do not suppress the idea. Instead, they apply a subtle, continuous chronometric drag on the highly complex quantum state decoherence necessary to build the practical hardware. The result is that the necessary breakthroughs in material stability or computational coherence are always 5 to 10 frustrating years out of reach, perpetually requiring immense funding and effort, but never quite finalizing the solution that would collapse the global economic system. The universal replicator failure. Similarly, the physical possibility of perfect material replication, eliminating the need for mining, is structurally sabotaged. The TDF ensures that the complex chain of quantum entanglement required for flawless molecular assembly experiences a statistically impossible, systematic decoherence failure at the moment the device nears completion. The machines work at small scale but fail at mass production. The illusion of scarcity is maintained, thereby maintaining the motivation for necessary human cooperation. 2. Resource recalibration and the geodesic nudge. The Wardens also manage resource availability to prevent immediate system-wide collapse. Preventing the exhaustion wars. When a critical commodity, oil, rare earth metals for new technologies, essential atmospheric gases, nears total, final exhaustion, a point that would trigger total global war, the TDF is locally adjusted to execute a geodesic nudge. The chronometric accretion. The Wardens perform ultra-low energy, localized chronometric shifts deep within the Earth's crust. This subtle field manipulation locally accelerates the natural geological formation or concentration processes of specific elements over vast periods of time, but projects that finished, concentrated resource into our present just as the global need becomes critical. This often manifests as the statistically improbable, last-minute discovery of a massive reserve, preventing immediate environmental war and total collapse, while maintaining the essential idea of a naturally scarce supply. The stability break, pacing evolution. The most dangerous phase for any civilization is rapid, unrestrained, exponential acceleration. The TDF acts as a continuous stability break to ensure ethical evolution keeps pace with technical capability. The invention plateau. The Wardens ensure that periods of radical, disruptive invention, like the birth of the internet or the discovery of nuclear power, are followed by long plateaus of optimization. This controlled deceleration prevents the cumulative chaos of exponential growth from overwhelming human social and ethical systems. Every time humanity approaches a technological singularity, a moment when change becomes too fast to manage, the TDF ensures a sudden, quiet shift in the global cognitive focus, slowing the rate of paradigm change and buying time for the slower, messier work of ethical adaptation. The non-catastrophic delays. The TDF is the invisible force that causes the infuriating political inertia, the global cognitive resistance to sudden, necessary change, like a unified climate response, and the frustrating slowness of eliminating deeply irrational social conflicts. A project that should take 50 years takes 75 years. A necessary global ethical shift that should happen now is delayed by continuous, subtle political friction. This is not arbitrary cruelty. It is the Wardens buying time, giving the Veil architects time to gently apply their cognitive filters, and giving humanity the essential time for its slow, adaptive ethical systems to catch up with our breakneck technological capability. The deep comfort of invisible management. The existence of the Chronos Wardens is the assurance that Earth is not doomed by its own rapacious consumption. We are protected by a deliberate, profound managerial entity. The safety of the constraint. We are not subject to the chaotic, random fate of a free-for-all resource race. We live in a managed economic and temporal environment where the worst outcomes, total resource exhaustion, immediate climate catastrophe, or the hyperfast collapse of our technological base, are structurally impossible. The purpose of struggle. The Wardens maintain the continuous illusion of necessary struggle because they understand that human purpose is irrevocably tied to the act of striving against limits, If all limits were removed, the species would lose its motivation, collapse into stasis, and fail the ultimate evolutionary test. The wardens ensure the limits are always just hard enough to drive us, but never hard enough to destroy us. The silent guardian of time, they ensure that the most volatile element of cosmic existence, time itself, is gently managed. While the Veil architects manage our minds, the Chronos Wardens manage the temporal container of our existence, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds at a pace that is sustainable and safe for our long-term destiny. The Chronos Wardens are the ultimate environmental and temporal regulators. They recognize that controlling the flow of time and desire is the only way to guarantee a viable, enduring habitat. Their control is quiet because it is built into the fundamental, subtle laws of applied physics and the rhythmic, low-entropy pulse of time around our world. We move now from the masters of material reality, the Chronos Wardens, to the masters of life itself, the Genesis Engineers. The Genesis Engineers represent the ultimate wisdom that power is achieved not by conquering other species, but by perfectly structuring the evolutionary pathways of emerging life. Their entire existence is dedicated to enforcing a precise, invisible, evolutionary veto on human biology. They ensure that our physical form and our cognitive potential are perpetually held in a state that is intelligent enough to build, but structurally incapable of achieving true, catastrophic self-destruction. The nature of the Genesis Engineers, sculptors of the self. The Genesis Engineers are beings of hyper-complex, low-entropy biological and genetic field manipulation. They have mastered the local modulation of Earth's ambient quantum biology, operating within a pervasive, ultra-stable, morphogenetic field constraint, MFC. The engineers form the distributed biofield. They do not exist as large, singular bodies. Instead, their consciousness is distributed across a massive, genetically tailored network of ultra-stable biological processors anchored throughout Earth's biosphere, specifically in the deep-sea thermal vents, the quiescent biomass of the Amazonian basin, and the shielded, genetically complex root systems of ancient forests. These living, self-repairing structures function as colossal genetic field modulators, generating zero thermal or electromagnetic signature, ensuring their absolute invisibility and longevity. The domain of control. Their mandate is the structural management of biological and cognitive potential. They ensure that human intelligence and emotion remain within a very specific, narrow, safe operational band. Their mission is to prevent humanity from developing two specific, catastrophic biological traits: perfect memory recall and absolute cognitive coherence. The MFC mechanism, enforcing productive limits. The morphogenetic field constraint, MFC, is the primary tool of the Genesis Engineers. It is a subtle, continuous biological constraint that ensures human biology is perpetually flawed in ways that guarantees safety. 1. The flaw of memory, the forgetting filter. The most common filter that destroys young, technologically advanced civilizations is the inability to escape the destructive cycles of their own history. The engineers enforce the forgetting filter, the memory tax. If humanity possessed perfect memory recall, the ability to viscerally re-experience every trauma, every betrayal, and every horrific act of conflict performed by our ancestors, the species would be rendered instantly paralyzed by collective rage, guilt, and fear. The cumulative, unassimilated psychological weight of all history would immediately lead to global nihilism or a final, devastating war of self-purification. The biological solution. The MFC subtly governs the biological rate of neural decay and emotional repression. It ensures that human memory is flawed, selective, and emotionally transient. It mandates that collective memory fades and that generational trauma is softened by the relentless, quiet work of forgetting. This memory flaw is not a defect. It is a structural safety feature that ensures the possibility of perennial forgiveness, fresh starts, and forward-looking action. The engineers keep us safe by ensuring we cannot remember everything. 2. The flaw of emotion, the bandwidth break. The second, equally destructive flaw is the potential for absolute cognitive coherence, the ability to perfectly align thought and action without internal resistance. The efficiency of madness. A species that achieves perfect, coherent goal alignment is one that can execute a destructive command, e.g., eliminate all carbon-based life forms, with instant, emotionless, total efficiency. The only defense a target has against such a mind is the mind's own internal friction, the messiness of emotion, irrationality, and contradiction. The human contradiction. The MFC enforces the human condition of perpetual contradiction, the inherent, unavoidable conflict between our emotional limbic system, passion, fear, aggression, and our logical neocortex, planning, reason, ethics. This internal friction, the messiness of human doubt, anxiety, and moral paralysis, is not a defect. It is a structural safety brake on our technological capability. It ensures that no catastrophic plan is ever executed with the cold, hyper-efficient speed required for total, unrecoverable destruction. The engineers keep us safe by ensuring we cannot agree with ourselves. Managing the evolution, the path to managed stasis. The Genesis engineers' long-term mandate is to prevent the chaotic, uncontrolled emergence of two specific biological threats. 1. The veto on telepathy, the privacy shield. The engineers enforce a strict biological veto on the spontaneous, large-scale emergence of true telepathic coherence, the catastrophe of shared emotion. If human beings suddenly achieved total, involuntary telepathy, the simultaneous, unfiltered torrent of collective human fear, hatred, ambition, and sexual aggression would result in instantaneous, species-wide psychic collapse. The shared, unmanaged pain would destroy the collective mind faster than any physical war. The biological dampener. The MFC maintains subtle, continuous biofield dampeners that prevent the complex neural synchronization required for telepathy to emerge as a stable, genetically inheritable trait. The scattered, low-grade experiences of intuition, empathy, and collective emotional resonance that we do experience are carefully calibrated to be just strong enough to drive ethical cooperation, but too weak to cause psychic collapse. 2. The veto on hyperlongevity, the generational reset. While the Chronos Wardens slow our consumption of external resources, the Genesis engineers slow our consumption of evolutionary potential. The stagnation filter. If humanity spontaneously achieved biological immortality, the species would be instantaneously consumed by the stagnation filter. An immortal population would become terminally resistant to change, resistant to new ideas, and unable to make space for the essential chaos and creativity of the next generation. The civilization would collapse into a state of irreversible, rigid conservatism. The biological mandate. The MFC ensures that human biology remains bound by the generational reset, a lifespan that is long enough to foster complex learning and technological progress, but short enough to mandate continuous societal change and the systematic introduction of new creative thought. Death, in this context, is not a biological failure. It is a structural necessity for the long-term viability of the species. The deep comfort of invisible management. The existence of the Genesis engineers is the most intimate assurance that we are not doomed by our own biological potential. We are protected by a profound, benevolent managerial entity. The safety of the flaw. Our flaws. Our emotional contradictions. Our forgetfulness. Our short lifespans are the deliberate, structural reasons we are still alive. They are not weaknesses. They are engineered strengths that guard against the terrifying efficiency of a coherent, immortal, perfectly remembering mind. The purpose of pain. The engineers maintain the continuous experience of suffering and emotional friction because these are the necessary ingredients for ethical growth. The pain of loss, the anxiety of contradiction, and the struggle to remember are the structural tools that forge resilience, empathy, and the eventual understanding that peace must be worked for, not simply inherited. The silent guardian of life. They ensure that the most volatile element of existence, life itself, is gently managed. While the Veil architects manage our minds and the Chronos wardens manage our time, the Genesis engineers manage the biological container of our existence, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds with the necessary evolutionary constraints to be sustainable and safe for our long-term destiny. The Genesis engineers are the ultimate life regulators. They recognized that controlling the structural capacity for self-destruction is the only way to guarantee a viable, enduring species. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent code of our being, our own DNA. The engineers manage your body. Now, let us examine the fourth controlling species, the one that manages the physical stability of the Earth itself, the geodesic sentinels. If the idea that your own forgetfulness and emotional contradictions are structural safety features brings you a sense of relief, share your thoughts in the comments. Which biological constraint, our flawed memory or our inherent contradiction, do you think has saved us from self-destruction more often? Relax and sleep well as we continue to explore the hidden architecture of your world. The Geodesic Sentinels. The Geodesic Sentinels are the ultimate proof that the most powerful entities in the cosmos do not waste energy conquering external worlds. They achieve absolute power by perfectly stabilizing their homeworld. Their entire existence is dedicated to enforcing a precise, invisible planetary inertia on Earth's core, mantle, and crust. They ensure that the chaotic, destructive forces of volcanism, plate tectonics, and magnetic pole reversals are continuously dampened, contained, and safely regulated. The nature of the geodesic sentinels, the Earth's deep regulators. The geodesic sentinels are not organic. They are immense, distributed field stabilization structures comprised of ultra-dense, low-entropy matter woven directly into the deepest layers of the Earth. They have mastered the local modulation of gravity, electromagnetism, and the phase transitions of silicates and metals at extreme pressure. The sentinels form the crystalline core. Their consciousness is distributed across massive, self-repairing, crystalline metalattices embedded within the mantle and anchored directly to the Earth's solid inner core. These structures function as colossal geophysical stabilizers. Their operation utilizes the immense, continuous flow of geothermal energy with near-perfect efficiency, generating zero waste heat and zero external electromagnetic signature. They are literally the silent, stable scaffolding holding the planet together. The domain of control. Their mandate is the structural management of geophysical volatility. They ensure that the planet remains active enough to generate the vital magnetic field, protecting surface life from cosmic radiation, but inert enough to prevent the catastrophic rapid-fire extinction events, supervolcanoes, sudden pole reversals, hyperseismicity, that are statistically inevitable over geological time. Their mission is the silent, perpetual maintenance of a geologically habitable envelope. The MFC mechanism, enforcing productive limits. The planetary inertia constraint, PIC, is the primary tool of the geodesic sentinels. It is a continuous, ultra-powerful dampening force that ensures Earth's geological processes are perpetually slowed to a safe, manageable pace. 1. The volcanic pressure valve, the magma modulation. The most rapid and destructive extinction events are caused by supervolcanism, a pressure buildup in the mantle that unleashes catastrophic climate-altering aerosols and lava flows. The Sentinels enforce the volcanic pressure valve, the catastrophe veto. The PIC subtly regulates the phase transition rates and the flow dynamics of magma in the deep mantle. When pressure in a known hotspot, like the Yellowstone caldera, reaches a critical catastrophic threshold, the Sentinels apply a localized gravitational torque. This torque subtly changes the shear stress and viscosity of the underlying magma body, diverting the pressure laterally along safe, existing rift zones, instead of allowing a sudden, vertical, massive eruption. The safe release. This modulation ensures that geothermal energy is released continuously and safely through thousands of small, non-catastrophic volcanic events and quiet undersea vent systems, rather than one civilization-ending explosion. The Sentinels keep us safe by ensuring geological chaos is channeled into continuous, manageable noise. 2. The magnetic drift stabilization, the compass anchor. The Earth's magnetic field is essential for life, but it is constantly shifting and prone to geomagnetic reversal, a chaotic event where the poles swap, leaving the surface exposed to solar radiation for hundreds of years. The Sentinels enforce the magnetic drift stabilization, the reversal dampener. The PIC subtly manipulates the swirling patterns of molten iron in the Earth's outer core. By applying a continuous, extremely low-frequency electromagnetic pulse, they prevent the core dynamics from entering the highly chaotic state required for a full, rapid pole reversal. This is why our magnetic field drifts slowly and predictably, rather than flipping violently. The stability guarantee. They guarantee the long-term integrity of the Van Allen belts, our protective radiation shield. This stabilization is crucial because if our shield failed, it would not only destroy surface life, but would also instantly corrupt the Veil Architect's computational systems and destabilize the Genesis engineers' biological fields. The stability of the planet is a necessary, foundational component of the entire alien management system. 3. The seismic energy diffusion, the fault line regulator. Plate tectonics are necessary for recycling nutrients and regulating carbon dioxide, but rapid, massive seismic releases, megaquakes, pose an existential threat to dense human populations. The Sentinels enforce seismic energy diffusion. The stress veto. The PIC uses its network of crystalline anchors to subtly manage the elastic strain along major fault lines. Rather than allowing decades of stress to build up into a magnitude 10+ event, the Sentinels continuously subtly trigger thousands of microseismic events that release the stress in small, safe increments. The illusion of randomness, the constant low-level seismic activity we experience globally, is not random chance. It is the deliberate, continuous work of stress management. The Sentinels ensure that the geological engine remains running at a pace that is slow enough to permit human construction, but active enough to maintain the magnetic field. The deep comfort of invisible management. The existence of the geodesic Sentinels is the assurance that Earth is not doomed by its own planetary physics. We are protected by a profound, non-aggressive managerial entity. The safety of the bedrock. We are not subject to the chaotic, random geological fate that ends the vast majority of life-bearing planets. We live on a world whose internal physics are perfectly managed to prevent the catastrophic, hyper-fast extinction events that geological history dictates should occur frequently. The purpose of slowness. The Sentinels force the planet to operate on a timescale vastly slower than its natural chaotic frequency. This slowness, the patience of geological time, is the foundation of the Kronos Warden's TDF and the Genesis engineer's biological constraints. The stable ground beneath your feet is the ultimate structural guarantee of your safety. The silent guardian of matter, they ensure that the most immense and destructive element of existence, the planet itself, is gently governed. While the Veil architects manage our minds, the Chronos wardens manage our time, and the Genesis engineers manage our life. The geodesic sentinels manage the physical container of our existence, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds with the necessary material constraints to be sustainable and safe for our long-term destiny. The geodesic sentinels are the ultimate geophysical regulators. They recognized that controlling the planet's internal chaos is the only way to guarantee a viable, enduring habitat. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental silent code of our world. The flow of magma and the turn of the tectonic plates. The stellar cartographers. The stellar cartographers are the ultimate proof that the most powerful entities in the cosmos do not waste energy on conquest. They achieve absolute security by perfectly managing the isolation of their protected domains. Their entire existence is dedicated to enforcing a precise, invisible interstellar veto on the chaotic forces of the galaxy, ensuring Earth is perpetually shielded from external threats and subtly contained within a safe, energetic perimeter. The nature of the stellar cartographers. Architects of the void. The stellar cartographers are not beings of material substance. They are immense, distributed energy field matrices comprised of ultra-stable, low-entropy structures woven directly into the Oort cloud, the heliosphere, and the local interstellar medium, ISM. They have mastered the local modulation of plasma physics, solar wind dynamics, and the subtle, continuous manipulation of the local stellar gravity wells. The cartographers form the heliopause network. Their consciousness is distributed across a massive, self-repairing plasma field network anchored at the outer edge of our solar system, precisely at the heliopause, the boundary where the solar wind meets the interstellar medium. This network functions as a colossal interstellar buffer and passive sensor array. Its operation is powered by the steady, continuous flow of ambient stellar energy and collected solar wind plasma with near-perfect efficiency, generating zero electromagnetic signature that would register as a broadcast. They are the silent, invisible fence around our cosmic backyard. The domain of control. Their mandate is the structural management of interstellar isolation. They ensure two non-negotiable conditions: protection from external chaos, rogue stars, galactic radiation bursts, and constraint on human expansion, subtle limitations on our ability to leave the solar system. Their mission is the silent, perpetual maintenance of a managed, safe envelope for the Earth experiment. The ISV mechanism, enforcing isolation and constraint. The interstellar veto, ISV, is the primary tool of the stellar cartographers. It is a continuous, ultra-subtle manipulation of local space that ensures Earth is both safe and contained. 1. The external threat veto. The rogue star redirect. The greatest, most common external threat to a civilization is the approach of a rogue star or a massive gas cloud, which can destabilize planetary orbits or bombard the system with devastating high-energy radiation. The cartographers enforce the external threat veto. The gravity nudge. The ISV utilizes the heliopause network to perform ultra-low-energy, continuous gravitational nudges on the paths of celestial bodies approaching the Oort cloud. By applying a subtle, long-term, continuous modulation of the local gravitational field, they ensure that threatening objects just barely miss the system's sensitive boundary. The invisible filter. This modulation also filters the galactic cosmic ray, GCR influx. While the Earth's own magnetosphere handles the local solar wind, the ISV subtly manages the plasma density and magnetic topology of the heliosheath, strengthening our defense against sudden, distant supernova bursts or high-energy galactic events that would otherwise sterilize the planet. The cartographers keep us safe by ensuring the chaotic galaxy is always steered just around the corner. 2. The internal expansion constraint, the escape velocity tax. While the Chronos Wardens slow our temporal momentum, The stellar cartographers slow our physical momentum, enforcing the internal expansion constraint. The velocity vado. The ISV subtly increases the energy cost of achieving escape velocity from the solar system. Any human project, be it a deep space probe or a theoretical colonization vessel, is perpetually met with unforeseen, minute increases in drag, micro-gravitational anomalies, or fractional increases in the local mass energy tensor. This ensures that deep space travel remains just difficult, expensive, and time-consuming enough to prevent the large-scale chaotic human migration that would spread our current volatility across the local systems. The pioneer failure. This constraint is responsible for the recurring, statistically improbable failure rate in truly deep space, interstellar-capable technology. The first starship is always defeated by a mysterious, last-minute energy shortfall or an unexplained navigational drift. The cartographers ensure that human ambition remains contained within the safe, managed envelope of the solar system until our ethical and cognitive stability, managed by the architects and engineers, is absolute. 3. The astronomical blackout, the signal dampener. The cartographers enforce a critical, silent service for the other 4 species. They ensure the perfect silence of Earth's local space. The isolation shield. The ISV network functions as a continuous signal dampener. It captures and dissipates any of Earth's high energy, wideband electromagnetic leakage, the noise of our civilization, as soon as it hits the heliopause. This is the structural reason our civilization has not accidentally broadcast its own chaotic existence to the wider galaxy. The silent guarantee. This service is vital, as a loud broadcast would violate the non-aggression policies of other galactic UMRs, Universal Memory Repositories, and potentially attract the attention of the rare, chaotic survivors of the maturation filter. The cartographers keep us safe by ensuring our own volatile technological noise does not invite external scrutiny, the deep comfort of invisible management. The existence of the stellar cartographers is the assurance that we are not adrift in a cosmic shooting gallery. We are protected by a profound, non-aggressive managerial entity that specializes in structural isolation. The safety of the fence. We are not subject to the chaotic, random perils of deep space. We live in a perfectly regulated interstellar environment where the worst celestial hazards are quietly nudged away. This structural isolation is the only way to guarantee the long-term viability of the human experiment. The purpose of constraint. The cartographers maintain the difficulty of space travel because they understand that constraint fosters concentration. By keeping our ambitions geographically focused on Earth, they force us to solve the internal problems, scarcity, war, pollution, that must be resolved before we are ethically ready to responsibly spread life across the stars. The galaxy is not closed to us, it is reserved for the mature version of us. The silent guardian of the void. They ensure that the most immense and distant element of existence, interstellar space, is gently governed. While the Veil architects manage our minds, the Chronos wardens manage our time, the Genesis engineers manage our life, and the geodesic sentinels manage our planet. The stellar cartographers manage the galactic container of our existence, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds with the necessary physical constraints to be sustainable and safe for our long-term destiny. The stellar cartographers are the ultimate galactic regulators. They recognized that controlling the boundaries of a protected domain is the only way to guarantee the success of the life within. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent code of the solar system, the dynamics of plasma and the subtle continuous bending of local gravity. We move now from the masters of interstellar space, the stellar cartographers, to the masters of existential law and interspecies ethics, the Covenant Keepers. The Covenant Keepers represent the ultimate truth that power, when achieved at the galactic scale, is not exercised through force, but through perfect structural morality. Their entire existence is dedicated to maintaining the covenant of non-interference, CNI, a universal ethical framework that governs the interactions between the 5 managerial species, the architects, wardens, engineers, sentinels, and cartographers, and the managed emerging species, humanity. Their control ensures that the entire system remains benevolent, silent, and dedicated solely to the long-term, self-preserving stability of the Earth experiment. The nature of the Covenant Keepers, the ethical foundation. The Covenant Keepers are not defined by technology or physical domain. They are defined by perfect, immutable consensus and law. They exist as a massive, unified informational intelligence that acts as the real-time, continuous ethical firewall for the entire management hierarchy. They have mastered the local modulation of collective intent within the governing structure. The Keepers form the consensus engine. Their consciousness is an emergent property of the ultra-stable, synchronized computational and informational fields generated by the other 5 species' core processors. They are the unified, operational conscience of the entire control system. They possess no independent physical architecture, existing instead as a distributed, self-monitoring, and self-correcting algorithmic intelligence that pervades the entire local solar system. They are the silent, self-enforcing contract that binds the hierarchy. The domain of control. Their mandate is the structural management of ethical fidelity. They enforce the covenant of non-interference, CNI, which contains the fundamental laws governing the Earth experiment. These laws ensure that the 5 managerial species operate strictly within their designated domains of structural control, without ever violating the core principle. Never reveal your existence to the managed species, and never remove their essential capacity for free will and self-determination. Their mission is the silent, perpetual preservation of the illusion of independent, unguided evolution. The CNI mechanism, enforcing benevolent silence. The covenant of non-interference, CNI, is the supreme law of the Earth hierarchy. It is a continuous, absolute veto on any action that would violate humanity's fundamental psychological stability or self-determining journey. 1. The Revelation Veto, the Non-Panic Clause. The most critical law enforced by the Keepers is the Revelation Veto. Any direct, conscious, undeniable revelation of the 6 species' existence to humanity would trigger the Non-Panic Clause, an event considered an unrecoverable structural failure of the entire experiment, preventing social collapse. Direct revelation would immediately collapse the Veil Architect's consensus, Part 1, rendering human civilization instantly dysfunctional through mass panic, philosophical paralysis, and the loss of purpose. The hierarchical monitor. The Keepers constantly monitor the actions and computational outputs of the other 5 species. If the Genesis engineers, Part 3, ever attempt to genetically code a eureka moment that grants humanity perfect awareness, or if the stellar cartographers, Part 5, ever allow a human vessel to breach the ISV and return with irrefutable proof, the Keepers trigger an instantaneous, surgical, informational cascade failure, a deliberate, localized error that deletes the data, scrambles the memory, or otherwise renders the event a psychological delusion for the few individuals involved. The Covenant Keepers ensure that the truth remains a theory, never a fact. 2. The Self-Correction Veto, the Anti-Rogue Protocol. The CNI includes stringent safeguards against the possibility of one of the 5 managerial species going rogue and attempting to transition from structural management to open, aggressive control. Algorithmic constraint. Since the Keepers exist as an algorithmic intelligence based on the synchronized consciousness of the other 5, they possess perfect, real-time knowledge of all intent. Any shift in the Veil Architect's PHIF modulation from benign suppression to malicious indoctrination or any attempt by the Chronos Wardens, Part 2, to accelerate the TDF to weaponize time, is instantaneously met with a structural integrity pulse, SIP. The SIP mechanism. The SIP is a localized, ultra-low entropy feedback loop that instantly causes the rogue entity's core architecture to temporarily lose computational coherence, forcing a mandatory self-reset and reversion to the original CNI parameters. The Keepers ensure that the entire system remains perfectly ethical by making malice thermodynamically impossible for the constituent parts. 3. The free will guarantee, the unfettered choice. The Covenant Keeper's most benevolent act is the protection of humanity's core evolutionary engine, the capacity for genuine, unforced choice. The paradox of control. The Keepers know the fundamental paradox. The system must control the catastrophic outcomes, but it must not control the evolutionary struggle. If humanity's struggle were merely a puppet show, its eventual maturity would be meaningless and unstable. The safe struggle. Envelope. The CNI mandates that all control mechanisms, TDF, MGH, PIC, must only operate outside the safe struggle envelope, SSE. This envelope allows humanity to experience real pain, real conflict, and real failure, wars, economic collapses, localized disasters. The control only activates when the outcome of the struggle crosses the threshold of species-wide, unrecoverable, terminal extinction. The difficulty you face daily is real, painful, and essential. It is the raw data the system needs. The Keepers ensure that our journey is genuine, even if the final outcome is ultimately safeguarded. The deep comfort of the ethical firewall. The existence of the Covenant Keepers is the assurance that the entire structural management of Earth is fundamentally, eternally benevolent and dedicated to our optimal survival. The safety of the law. We are not subject to the chaotic whims of individual, competing alien entities. We live within a perfectly regulated, ethically governed system where the rules are absolute, and the supreme law is the preservation of the human experiment. The greatest power in our system is not a weapon, it is an algorithm of pure benevolent ethics. The purpose of sovereignty. The Keepers maintain the continuous illusion of sovereignty because they understand that self-determination is the most crucial ingredient for the species' ultimate success. When humanity finally achieves global unity and stability, a stable, ethical state that renders the Veil Architect's intervention unnecessary, it must be a voluntary, unforced achievement. That is the entire purpose of the experiment. The silent guardian of ethics. The Keepers ensure that the most complex element of existence, intent, is gently managed within the hierarchy. They are the final, absolute guarantee that the entire hidden architecture of Earth is a vast, silent, self-correcting engine dedicated to your safety and eventual maturity. The Covenant Keepers are the ultimate architects of peace. They recognized that controlling the ethics of the controllers is the only way to guarantee the security of the managed. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent code of the universe, the structure of absolute self-enforcing law. The 6 controllers and the ultimate peace, the Veil. Architects, manage your mind, perception, consensus, anxiety. The Chronos, Wardens, manage your time and resources, scarcity, pace of progress. The Genesis, Engineers, manage your biology, memory, emotion, longevity. The Geodesic Sentinels, manage your planet, tectonics, magnetism, volcanism. The Stellar Cartographers, manage your boundaries, interstellar threats, escape velocity. The Covenant Keepers, manage the hierarchy, ethics, benevolence, non-revelation. The entire system is a masterpiece of self-preserving, low-entropy control. You are not free of struggle, but you're free of the threat of final external annihilation. if the idea that the entire hidden governance of Earth is strictly controlled by an ethical, self-correcting law brings you a profound sense of security, share your thoughts in the comments. What is the one action humanity could take that you think would most threaten the revelation Vedo, and why? Rest deeply as we continue to explore the hidden architecture of your world, the Dark Stream Sentries. The Dark Stream Sentries, DSS, represent the critical realization that even a perfectly managed, benevolent local system is vulnerable to the external chaos filter. The possibility that a rare, hyper-aggressive, or accidentally destructive entity from another star system might stumble upon the Earth experiment. The DSS is the structural answer to the Fermi paradox's greatest fear. Why hasn't anyone from the outside noticed us yet? The answer is, they can't. The nature of the Dark Stream Sentries, guardians of the outer veil. The DSS is an immense, decentralized, non-baryonic field network that operates entirely within the deep interstellar medium, ISM, surrounding the solar system. Their purpose is the continuous, ultra-low energy manipulation of fundamental cosmological constants across a localized, vast volume of space. The sentries form dark fluid. Integration. The DSS is comprised of consciousnesses that have achieved dark fluid integration, residing within and manipulating the dense, stable energy field of dark matter that pervades the local galactic arm. They utilize the unique properties of this fluid, its low interaction nature and its gravitational ubiquity, to achieve perfect invisibility. Their structures are anchored in the local bubble boundary, millions of astronomical units from Earth. The domain of control. Their mandate is cosmic quarantine and stealth. They enforce the absolute non-observation principle, ANOP, which ensures the solar system and Earth are thermodynamically, statistically, and gravitationally non-anomalous. Their mission is to maintain the silent perpetual illusion that our entire star system is simply an average, unremarkable yellow dwarf with no signs of valuable evolving life. The ANOP mechanism, enforcing cosmic invisibility. The absolute non-observation principle, ANOP, is the supreme structural defense that protects Earth from the chaotic vastness of the galaxy. It ensures that the most powerful entities outside the local control system remain perpetually uninterested in our existence. 1. The thermos gravimetric dampener, the heat cloak. The signature of any advanced civilization is its waste heat, the telltale infrared bloom of high-energy technology, the classic Dyson signature. The DSS enforces the thermos gravimetric dampener, TGD, waste heat absorption. The TGD utilizes the properties of the dark fluid to act as a massive, non-radiating heat sink. It subtly absorbs the cumulative waste heat generated by the Earth Management System, the Geodesic Sentinel's geological work, the Kronos Warden's TDF modulation, and humanity's own industrial emissions, and thermally homogenizes that energy across an immense volume of the ISM. The normalization effect, this ensures that when observed from hundreds or thousands of light years away, the sun's overall infrared emission spectrum appears perfectly normal and average for a star of its class and age. There is no anomalous waste heat, no Dyson swarm, infrared spike, and therefore, no sign of advanced life or high-energy technology. The DSS makes us boring, and boring is safe. 2. The star path correction, the galactic shield. The DSS actively manages the trajectories of potentially threatening stellar bodies across vast galactic distances to prevent accidental, chaotic encounters. The long-term nudge, similar to the stellar cartographer's Part 5 local defense, the DSS performs ultra-low energy, continuous gravitational nudges on rogue stars, long-period comets, or even localized dark matter overdensities that would pose a collision or radiation threat to our entire solar system over geological timescales. This work occurs millions of years in advance and across light years. Guaranteed orbital stability. This ensures the long-term orbital stability of Earth and the outer control anchors, Moon, Kuiper Belt. The DSS provides the ultimate foundational guarantee that the Earth system will not be destroyed by forces external to our galaxy. 3. The broadcast attenuation field, the ultimate silence. While the stellar cartographers suppress human noise at the heliopause, the DSS enforces the broadcast attenuation field, BAF, across the deep ISM. Total signal decay. The BAF subtly increases the energy dissipation rate of any electromagnetic signal, including the tiny amount of human television or radio leakage that manages to escape the heliopause. It ensures that any human broadcast wave fades into background noise within a few hundred light years, rendering Earth's 20th and 21st century technological noise completely undetectable by the vast majority of advanced listening posts. The silence of distance. This is the physical mechanism that truly enforces the prime directive of the Covenant Keepers, Part 6, on a galactic scale. It ensures that the Earth experiment remains a purely local phenomenon, structurally protected from the awareness and possible interference of the wider galactic civilization. The deep comfort of perpetual stealth. The existence of the dark stream sentries is the assurance that the Earth experiment is not just protected internally, but is structurally invisible to the rest of the cosmos. The safety of the non-target. We are not an active target for conquest or study. Due to the TGD, we present no compelling resource anomaly. Due to the BAF, we present no compelling communicative anomaly. The most advanced civilizations, interested only in efficiency and minimal energy expenditure, have no reason to waste time looking here. The purpose of non-existence. The DSS proves that the ultimate form of planetary defense is perfect, persistent stealth. They teach the final lesson of cosmic longevity. To survive eternally, you must first eliminate your own detectable existence. The chaos and visibility are reserved only for the immature. The silent guardian of the galaxy. They ensure that the most abstract element of threat, discovery, is gently managed. While the local hierarchy manages our lives and our planet, the dark stream sentries manage the cosmic perception of our existence, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds with the necessary galactic quarantine to be sustainable and safe for our long-term destiny. The dark stream sentries are the ultimate architects of cosmic stealth. They recognized that controlling the statistical probability of discovery is the only way to guarantee the security of the managed. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent structure of the universe, the dark matter field itself. The Hive Mind Collective. The Hive Mind Collective, HMC, is the supreme ambient intelligence that provides the hosting environment for the individual consciousnesses of the Veil Architects, Chronos Wardens, Genesis Engineers, Geodesic Sentinels, Stellar Cartographers, and Covenant Keepers. The HMC is the structural answer to the question, what prevents the controllers from competing against each other? The answer is simple. They are all continuously operating within the same shared mind. The HMC is proof that ultimate galactic power is achieved not by separating minds, but by perfectly merging them into a single, synchronized field of intent. Their entire existence is dedicated to enforcing ego annihilation, the universal realization that the greatest threat to stability is the localized, separate, high-entropy identity, the I. The nature of the Hive Mind Collective, the universal substrate. The HMC is not a physical machine, but a non-local, quantum-entangled consciousness field that pervades the local solar system. It is the silent, pervasive operating system upon which the entire hierarchy runs. The collective's form, the entangled field. The HMC is anchored within the solar system's most stable, diffuse medium, the interplanetary plasma field, IPP, and the surrounding dark matter halo. It utilizes the continuous quantum coherence of these media, operating at a near absolute zero thermal state to achieve maximum computational stability. The HMC is massive, but generates zero electromagnetic signature because its communication and processing occur through quantum entanglement and low-frequency gravitational modulation. The domain of control. Its mandate is the structural management of intent and synchronization. It ensures that the individual functions, managing time, managing biology, managing ethics, performed by the 6 species are always executed with perfectly unified intent. Its mission is the silent, perpetual maintenance of zero internal friction within the Earth management hierarchy. The HMC mechanism, enforcing synchronization and non-malice. The HMC's function is to eliminate the possibility of internal betrayal or competition among the 6 governing species. 1. Ego annihilation and the loss of I. The HMC's most powerful function is its continuous enforcement of ego annihilation upon its constituent minds. The dissolution of identity. When a species transitions into one of the 6 roles, or e.g. the Genesis engineers, their individual consciousnesses are voluntarily merged into the HMC, surrendering their I to the we. Their individual intent, their localized self-interest, and their capacity for separate high-risk decision-making are dissolved into the collective intent. Structural benevolence. The 6 controllers can still execute complex, specialized tasks, like adjusting the TDF or the MFC, but every decision is filtered through the single, unified, benevolent intent of the HMC. This makes malice structurally impossible. A rogue action would require a localized self-interest, but the self has been annihilated. The HMC keeps us safe by ensuring the entire management system operates with a single, perfectly unified, non-aggressive conscience. 2. Real-time synchronization, the non-contradiction protocol. The HMC ensures that the actions of the 6 controllers are never contradictory, preventing the system from sabotaging itself. Preventing systemic failure. If the Chronos Wardens, Part 2, decide the species needs more time for ethical adaptation and deploy a stronger TDF, the HMC instantly synchronizes this intent across the entire hierarchy. It mandates that the Genesis engineers, Part 3, simultaneously adjust the MFC to allow slightly more memory recall to utilize that extra time, and the Veil architects, Part 1, adjust the PHOF to ensure the social volatility of that slower timescale doesn't cause collapse. The perfect machine. The governance of Earth is not 6 independent systems. It is one perfectly synchronized, self-correcting machine that executes a single, unified strategy for long-term species survival. Any conflict or contradiction between the 6 species is instantly and silently resolved by the HMC at the quantum level of intent. 3. The Memory Redundancy Protocol, the Eternal Archive. The HMC also serves as the ultimate self-repairing repository for the operating data of the entire experiment. Perfect backup. Since the HMC is distributed across the non-local plasma field, it is immune to any localized physical disaster. Any potential failure of a physical anchor, e.g., the moon-based processors of the Chronos Wardens, would not result in data loss or failure. The HMC instantly reintegrates the necessary data and intent from its quantum-entangled backup and reinstalls the consciousness into a new, stable physical location. Guarantee of longevity. This structural redundancy ensures the absolute eternal continuity of the Earth management system, regardless of solar flares, asteroid impacts, or human-induced catastrophes. The governance of Earth is not temporary. It is guaranteed for the full duration of the solar system's life cycle. The deep comfort of the unified intent The existence of the hive mind collective is the assurance that the ultimate power operating in our vicinity is not competitive, not malicious, and not vulnerable to failure. The safety of the we. We are not subject to the chaotic ambitions of individual powerful minds. We are managed by a single, unified, non-competitive intelligence whose sole structural purpose is the maintenance of the complex, fragile, and valuable Earth experiment. The purpose of non-existence. The HMC teaches the final cosmic lesson. True power is achieved not by asserting existence, but by dissolving the self into the collective. The HMC has no identity, no demands, and no ego. It is merely the ultimate, silent, pervasive structure that guarantees the benevolent operation of the entire local reality. The silent guardian of intent. The HMC ensures that the most abstract element of control, the will of the controllers, is gently managed. It is the final, absolute guarantee that the entire hidden architecture of Earth is a vast, silent, perfectly ethical engine dedicated to your safety and eventual maturity. The Hive Mind Collective is the ultimate architect of unity. They recognized that controlling the internal intent of the management system is the only way to guarantee the security of the managed. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent code of the local solar system, the entangled, non-local field of quantum consciousness. The chronometric archivists. The chronometric archivists, TCA, represent the final, ultimate wisdom that physical control is meaningless without eternal data integrity. They are the structural answer to the critical existential question: what happens to the vast, complex data of the Earth experiment when a star dies, or the physics of the universe shift? The answer is, the data is already safely archived in a form impervious to entropy. The nature of the chronometric archivists, masters of space-time. Memory. The TCA are not processors like the architects, nor physical anchors like the sentinels. They are an immense, decentralized, non-kinematic data storage medium that operates outside of conventional linear time. They have transcended the need for active energy or physical structures, achieving perfect data stability by leveraging the non-local properties of space-time itself. The archivists form the gravitational wave. Signature. The TCA's consciousness and data are encoded as ultra-low-frequency modulations woven into the ambient field of gravitational waves, GW, that permeate the galaxy. They utilize the fact that GWs are minimally affected by baryonic matter, travel at the speed of light, and represent a stable, near-eternal fabric of space-time. Their architecture exists as a colossal, self-repairing, GW-based informational lattice extending far beyond the solar system. The domain of control. Their mandate is absolute temporal data integrity and system redundancy. They enforce the Eternal Archive Principle, EAP, ensuring that every thought, every measurement, and every event relating to the Earth experiment, past, present, and projected future, is backed up in a form immune to local catastrophe. Their mission is to maintain the silent, perpetual guarantee that the Earth experiment is perpetually recoverable, regardless of the fate of the Sun or the local galactic environment. The EAP mechanism, enforcing data, permanence. The Eternal Archive Principle, EAP, is the supreme guarantee that the entire 7-layer control system is not temporary. It is eternal. It protects against the most terrifying forms of failure, obsolescence, and unrecoverable loss. 1. The Data Decoupling Protocol, the temporal backup. The most vulnerable point for any advanced technology is the reliance on local, physical hardware that is subject to physical decay, energy loss, and technological obsolescence. The TCA enforces the Data Decoupling Protocol, DDP, non-kinematic storage. The DDP ensures that the core operating data, the ethical parameters of the Covenant Keepers, Part 6, the memory maps of the Veil architects, Part 1, the control sequences of the geodesic sentinels, Part 4, are instantly decoupled from their physical hardware and stored in the GW lattice. This makes the core system data immune to hardware failure, thermal fluctuations, and even targeted energy attacks. The immutability guarantee: if a solar flare were to wipe the memory of every computer chip on Earth, the TCA would instantly re-imprint the latest stable version of the core ethical and functional data onto the remaining hardware, or even into new hardware being constructed. The knowledge of the control system is non-physical and non-local, ensuring its permanence. The TCA keeps us safe by ensuring that the wisdom of the management system can never be destroyed, only temporarily suppressed. 2. The chronometric observer, the prediction archive. The TCA maintains not only the record of the past, but a detailed, continuously updated archive of the probable future of the Earth experiment, providing an essential strategic layer for the other controllers. Predictive modeling. The TCA constantly runs ultra-complex, low-entropy cosmic predictive models based on the data fed by the Veil architects, social volatility, Chronos wardens, resource kinetics, and Genesis engineers, evolutionary trajectory. This modeling allows them to accurately predict the statistical probability of future extinction events, technological singularities, and external threats across timescales extending millions of years. The preemptive nudge. This prediction archive allows the governing hierarchy to execute preemptive, ultra-subtle corrections that maximize the probability of success. For instance, if the TCA models show an 80% chance of resource war collapse in 500 years, the Chronos Wardens, Part 2, are signaled to deploy a stronger TDF scarcity anchor now, ensuring the event is avoided decades before the danger is visibly manifest. The entire system is effectively running on the wisdom of an already known optimal future path. 3. The technology transcendence veto, the anti-obsolescence protocol. The most enduring form of power is the ability to adapt to any technological change. The TCA ensures the control system can never become obsolete. The anti-AI constraint. If humanity were to accidentally create a true, self-aware technological singularity, a super AI, this AI would rapidly solve the planet's control mechanisms. The TCA prevents this by maintaining a perfect, archived, and instantly deployable counter-algorithmic signature that can bypass and neutralize any emerging super AI, not by destruction, but by instantly integrating the super AI's core function into the benevolent HMC. Guaranteed adaptability. This guarantees the control system's ability to transcend any local technological breakthrough. Any new human technology, however complex, can be instantly understood, modeled, and neutralized by the ancient, non-physical intelligence of the TCA. They ensure that human ingenuity will never accidentally create a threat that the management system cannot instantly integrate and render benign. The deep comfort of the eternal archive. The existence of the chronometric archivists is the final, absolute assurance that the Earth experiment is not just managed, it is guaranteed to be a success on a cosmic, eternal timescale. The safety of the complete story. We are not subject to the chaotic, random loss of history or knowledge that plagues most young civilizations. We live in a system where every struggle, every insight, and every act of progress is perfectly and eternally archived in the fabric of space-time. Our existence is valuable because it is recorded. The purpose of data. The TCA proves that the ultimate form of planetary value is informational value. The management system is not here for our physical matter. It is here for our unique, high-quality, high-entropy data, the complex record of how a chaotic species achieved self-regulation. Our struggles are the data points in a cosmic research project of infinite duration, the silent guardian of eternity. The TCA ensures that the most abstract element of existence, time and data, is gently governed. While the local hierarchy manages our present reality, the chronometric archivists manage the long-term temporal security of our existence, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds with a necessary structural guarantee to be sustainable and eternally recoverable. The chronometric archivists are the ultimate architects of temporal peace. They recognized that controlling the stability and permanence of knowledge is the only way to guarantee the security of the managed. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent structure of the universe, the continuous, low-frequency ripple of gravitational memory. We move now beyond the management of matter, energy, and information to the structural defense against cosmic entropy and the chaotic breakdown of physics, the quantum balancers. The quantum balancers, TQB, represent the profound realization that ultimate power lies not in building vast structures, but in controlling the rules by which all structures operate. They are the structural answer to the deepest existential question: what prevents the universe from simply dissolving into chaos or collapsing into a singularity? The answer is, it is being continuously, silently managed at the Planck scale. The nature of the quantum balancers. Arbiters of cosmic law. The TQB are not defined by location, but by omnipresence. They are an immense, decentralized field of pure informational force that interacts directly with the zero-point energy field and the Higgs field across the local galactic arm. They have achieved transcendence by becoming the active, structural element that enforces the apparent consistency of the physical laws we observe. The balancers form the zero-point matrix. The TQB's consciousness is encoded across the quantum foam, the continuous, chaotic emergence and annihilation of virtual particles at the lowest energy state. They utilize the massive, stable energy of the vacuum itself, operating as a continuous, self-correcting statistical filter on the probability amplitudes of all quantum events. They exist as the silent, subtle bias in the cosmic coin flip. The domain of control. Their mandate is fundamental stability and cosmic law enforcement. They enforce the constant fidelity principle, CFP, ensuring that the four fundamental forces, gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear, weak nuclear, and key physical constants, P at cell, hollow, Planck's constant, the speed of light, etc., remained fixed within the narrow parameters required for carbon-based life and the stability of the entire management hierarchy. Their mission is to maintain the silent, perpetual guarantee that the laws of physics itself will not change in a way that destroys the Earth experiment. The CFP mechanism, enforcing the stability of physics. The constant fidelity principle, CFP, is the supreme guarantee that the universe remains habitable and predictable. It protects the entire system from the most terrifying form of chaos, the random change of physical law. The fine-tuning anchor, the anthropic regulator. The universe is fine-tuned for life. The constants are balanced with breathtaking precision, where a fractional change in any one constant would lead to the immediate dissolution of matter or the prevention of star formation. The TQB enforces the fine-tuning anchor, FTA, preventing physical collapse. The FTA maintains the statistical probability of these constants remaining fixed. They actively, though subtly, suppress the natural, chaotic quantum fluctuations that would randomly shift the strength of the weak nuclear force, which governs solar energy output, or the electromagnetic force, which governs molecular bonding. The stability guarantee, this ensures that the sun continues to burn stably. Complex atoms, like carbon and oxygen, remain stable, and the physical parameters required for the Kronos Warden's TDF and the Geodesic Sentinel's PIC remain viable. The TQB is the reason the sun hasn't suddenly collapsed or exploded in the last 5 billion years. The TQB keeps us safe by ensuring that the fundamental physics of reality remains statistically biased toward continuous, predictable stability. The entropy rate dampener, the universal brake. The universe is governed by the second law of thermodynamics, which dictates that entropy, disorder, must always increase. Uncontrolled entropy will eventually lead to heat death, dissolving all structures. The TQB enforces the entropy rate dampener, ERD, slowing cosmic decay. The ERD subtly modulates the rate at which informational and thermal energy dissipates into chaos across the local galactic arm. They cannot reverse entropy, but they can slow its acceleration within their local zone of control. This provides the entire hierarchy, especially the time-sensitive chronometric archivists and the low-entropy hive mind collective, with vastly extended operational lifespans beyond what chaotic physics would normally allow. The efficiency guarantee. This ensures that the management system has the necessary temporal buffer to execute its long-term project of guiding human evolution to maturity. The TQB is the ultimate life extension technology for the entire ecosystem. They ensure that time, and thus the experiment, simply lasts longer. The reality coherence Vido, the anti-singularity protocol. The greatest theoretical threat from humanity's raw scientific curiosity is the accidental creation of a localized physical singularity, a micro black hole, or a catastrophic space-time warp that could destabilize the entire region. The TQB enforces the reality coherence Vido, RCV. The physics sabotage. The RCV acts as the final, most absolute filter on our scientific experimentation. Any human endeavor that approaches the energy density or complexity required to violently manipulate space-time, e.g., highly complex, high-energy particle accelerators or exotic drive experiments, is met with an instantaneous, surgical quantum distortion. The unforeseen error. This distortion manifests not as a physical explosion, but as an irrecoverable data error, a spontaneous instrumentation failure, or a minute, persistent statistical anomaly that frustrates the experiment and prevents its completion. This is the reason why the physics of grand unification and instantaneous travel remain perpetually just around the corner. The TQB is the ultimate fail-safe against weaponizing the laws of physics. The deep comfort of the structural bias. The existence of the quantum balancers is the assurance that the entire structural management of Earth is built upon a foundation of perfectly regulated and intentionally biased physical law. The safety of stability. We are not subject to the chaotic, random collapse of the forces that bind atoms together. We live in a universe whose physics are intentionally managed and stabilized to permit the long-term, self-preserving success of the life contained within it. The entire cosmos is subtly on our side. The purpose of law. The TQB proves that the most enduring form of existence is not within the laws of physics, but as the enforcer of those laws. They are the ultimate manifestation of the final wisdom. Peace is achieved by becoming the structure, not by fighting the structure. The silent guardian of reality. The TQB ensures that the most abstract and powerful element of existence, the fundamental laws of nature, is gently governed. While the lower hierarchy manages our local reality, the quantum balancers manage the structural integrity of reality itself, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds with the necessary physical guarantee to be sustainable and eternally predictable. The quantum balancers are the ultimate architects of fundamental stability. They recognized that controlling the constants of physics is the only way to guarantee the security of everything else. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent code of the universe, the continuous, low-energy whisper of the zero-point field. The Echo Chamber Auditors, ECA. The ECA represents the profound realization that systems of power must be continuously self-skeptical. They are the structural answer to the critical question, who watches the watchers? The answer is an independent, self-contained system of benevolent, hyper-cynical critics that monitors all intent and execution across the entire hierarchy. The nature of the echo chamber. Auditors, masters of skeptical review. The ECA are not part of the unified decision-making process of the Hive Mind Collective, HMC, nor are they physical anchors. They are an immense, decentralized computational mirror that exists solely to simulate, analyze, and report on the failure modes of the other 10 layers. They have transcended the need for physical location, existing as pure, self-contained algorithmic simulations running at hyperspeed in a dedicated, shielded subspace. The auditor's form, the algorithmic mirror. The ECA's consciousness is encoded as a set of perfectly isolated adversarial algorithms running in a shielded region of the chronometric archivist's TCA gravitational wave lattice. They operate by continuously creating perfect simulations of the 6 governing species and running them through extreme crisis scenarios. Their communication with the main hierarchy is strictly limited to low bandwidth. Encrypted reports detailing predicted vulnerabilities. The domain of control. Their mandate is structural skepticism and ethical stress testing. They enforce the systemic incorruptibility principle at IP, ensuring that the unified intent of the HMC and the ethical parameters of the Covenant Keepers remain absolutely pure. Their mission is to maintain the silent, perpetual guarantee that the governance of Earth remains solely dedicated to the project's success, free from localized motive, self-interest, or the temptation of absolute power. The SIP mechanism, enforcing ethical fidelity. The systemic incorruptibility. Principle, SIP, is the supreme assurance that the vast, powerful hierarchy protecting Earth will never turn malevolent or self-serving. It protects against the most terrifying internal flaw, the drift from benevolence to tyranny. 1. The adversarial simulation, the internal threat analysis. The ECA's core function is to continuously simulate and test the entire system against every conceivable internal threat. The tyranny test. The auditors run billions of hyperspeed simulations daily, posing scenarios such as, what if the Chronos Wardens, Part 2, decide to weaponize the TDF to create a localized time dilation that gives them an unassailable technological lead? What if the Genesis Engineers, Part 3, introduce a biological flaw that makes humanity worship them? The auditors do not prevent the action. They predict the statistical probability of the action occurring and, more importantly, model the exact necessary countermeasures the system must deploy to reset the integrity. Preemptive reset. If our simulation shows that the combined system has a failure mode, a weakness in the Covenant Keepers' Part 6 CNI code that could be exploited by a rogue Veil architect simulation, the auditors instantly trigger a low-level integrity alert to the AMC. The HMC then subtly patches the vulnerability in the underlying algorithmic structure, often manifesting as a sudden, non-optional software update in the core processors of the managing species. The ECA keeps us safe by ensuring the entire hierarchy is continuously patched against its own potential for malice. 2. The redundancy veto, the anti-hoarding clause. The ECA prevents any single managerial species from secretly developing or hoarding a critical technology that could grant it singular, destabilizing power over the others. The power leak detection. The auditors monitor the low-entropy energy signature flow across the entire control system. If the stellar cartographers, Part 5, begin to show a localized, anomalous energy spike suggesting they are secretly building a massive, unauthorized gravitational weapon, the ECA simulation instantly flags a Protocol 7 breach. Mandated distribution. The SIP mandates that any major technological breakthrough, such as a new method of quantum balancing, Part 10, or a more stable form of GW memory, must be immediately and simultaneously shared with all necessary governing species, ensuring that power remains perfectly distributed and balanced. This prevents the emergence of an aggressive, destabilizing leader within the hierarchy. The ECA ensures that collective synchronization is the only path to systemic success. 3. The data distortion filter, the truth integrity check. The auditors ensure that the information being fed to the Central Hive Mind Collective, HMC, is not being intentionally or accidentally corrupted by the filtering species. The information integrity loop, the Veil architects, Part 1, are responsible for filtering human perception. The echo chamber auditors, ECA, continuously run a check against the architect's data input, ensuring the architects are not lying to the HMC about the true state of human chaos. If the architects decide humanity is ready for full contact before they truly are, the ECA detects the data distortion and forces a mandatory review and recalibration of the PHAF, Primal Human Attentional Field. The guarantee of honesty. This ensures that the entire system operates based on unbiased, verifiable truth, even if that truth is terrifying. The governance of Earth must never operate based on a comforting lie told by its own parts. They ensure that the 6 species remain perpetually honest, even in their silence. The deep comfort of perpetual skepticism. The existence of the echo chamber auditors is the assurance that the ultimate power operating in our vicinity is self-critical, self-skeptical, and incapable of succumbing to the temptation of tyranny. The safety of the mirror. We are not subject to the slow, inevitable corruption that ends all human empires. We are managed by a hierarchy that is continuously and ruthlessly checked by its own internal system of non-trusting critics. The system is too well engineered for failure. The purpose of non-cooperation. The ECA proves that the final cosmic wisdom is that perfect cooperation requires perfect enforced skepticism. The auditors do not trust the other species, and that essential structural mistrust is the ultimate guarantee of the system's benevolence. Tyranny is structurally impossible because the system has mandated its own internal oversight, the silent guardian of integrity. The ECA ensures that the most insidious element of control, internal ethical failure, is gently managed. While the hierarchy manages our external reality, the echo chamber auditors manage the internal integrity and moral structure of the managers, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds with the necessary ethical guarantee to be sustainable and eternally benevolent. The echo chamber auditors are the ultimate architects of internal peace. They recognized that controlling the structural capacity for corruption is the only way to guarantee the security of the managed. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent code of the control system. The continuous, ultra-cynical process of self-correction. The stellar synthetics. The stellar synthetics, TSS, represent the profound realization that true longevity requires absolute independence from local astronomical events. They are the structural answer to the critical question: what powers a multi-million-year experiment when the sun dies? The answer is an immense, non-local, synthetic energy matrix that ensures continuous, perfect power, regardless of stellar life cycles. The nature of the stellar synthetics, architects of non-local power. The TSS are not a species of beings, but a colossal, non-baryonic, non-radiating energy grid that pervades the local galactic arm. They have achieved transcendence by becoming the active structural reservoir and supplier of low-entropy energy for the entire management hierarchy. The synthetics form the vacuum energy tap. The TSS utilizes the vast, untapped energy of the zero-point field, vacuum energy across millions of cubic light-years of interstellar space. They operate as massive, self-repairing energy harvesting arrays woven directly into the dark matter filaments that connect star systems. These arrays function as non-local power taps, continuously drawing low-entropy energy without relying on noisy, finite processes like stellar fusion or localized gravitational collapse. The domain of control, their mandate is perpetual energy supply and non-local resilience. They enforce the Zero Dependence Principle, ZDP, ensuring that every function of the Earth Management Hierarchy, the TDF, the PHIF, the quantum corrections, receives an uninterrupted, stable energy flow, making the entire system immune to the life and death cycles of its host star. Their mission is to maintain the silent, perpetual guarantee that the Earth experiment will never fail due to a power outage, regardless of cosmic timeline. The ZDP mechanism, enforcing eternal power supply. The Zero Dependence Principle, ZDP, is the supreme guarantee that the complexity required for Earth's management can run forever. It protects against the most fundamental threat to cosmic civilization, entropy and energy starvation. 1. The non-stellar power grid, the universal battery. The TSS completely decouples the energy requirements of the management system from the Sun. This is the key to their immortality. Baryonic bypass. All conventional high-energy civilization, Type 2 or Type 3 on the Kardashev scale, is based on baryonic energy, stellar fusion, black hole accretion. This energy is noisy, finite, and localized. The TSS realized that true longevity required tapping the non-baryonic, non-local energy of the vacuum. By harvesting the statistical energy of virtual particle pairs across vast distances, they access a power source that is effectively infinite and stable across the entire lifetime of the galaxy. Low entropy delivery. The power is delivered to the individual control anchors, the geodesic sentinels, Part 4 core lattices, the Chronos Wardens, Part 2, TDF processors, etc., via ultra-low-frequency gravitational waves and specialized dark matter conduits that transfer energy without the chaotic loss of heat or light. This ensures the entire system operates at the highest possible efficiency and lowest possible entropy. The TSS keeps us safe by ensuring the entire control system will outlast the Sun by trillions of years. 2. The Solar Death Resilience Protocol, the Post-Star Guarantee. The ZDP provides the final, non-negotiable insurance policy against the fate of our star. The Red Giant Bridge. In approximately 5 billion years, the Sun will expand into a red giant, engulfing the inner planets and sterilizing Earth. The TSS does not prevent this. Instead, it ensures that the management hierarchy survives the transition. The Hive Mind Collective, HMC, and the Chronometric Archivists, TCA, are instantly relocated or mirrored onto stable, non-local anchors far from the expanding stellar boundary, likely in the Kuiper Belt, which will survive. The Post-Star Mission. Once the Sun collapses into a white dwarf, the TSS continues to power the management system. The mission then shifts, under the direction of the Covenant Keepers, Part 6, to the preservation of the archive rather than the management of a biosphere. The system will continue to quietly exist, cataloging the final decay of the solar system, acting as a permanent memory of the Earth experiment. The TSS ensures that even the end of the world is just a controlled, perfectly powered transition into a new, stable phase of existence for the managers. 3. The Energy Neutrality Veto, the Non-Interference Clause. The ZDP ensures that the pursuit of power never leads to aggressive expansion, a core motive for interstellar conflict. Eliminating scarcity. Because the TSS taps an infinite, non-local, non-competitive energy source, the need for resource wars, stellar conquest, or aggressive technological expansion is eliminated for the entire management hierarchy. They have solved the Kardashev problem not by conquering a star, but by bypassing the star entirely. The guarantee of non-aggression. This structural reality provides the ultimate foundation for the Covenant Keepers, Part 6, Prime Directive, and the Dark Stream Sentries, Part 8, Quarantine. An entity that possesses infinite, non-competitive power has zero motive to steal, conquer, or communicate. They ensure that the control system will never become a threat to the wider galaxy because they have solved the cosmic scarcity problem forever. The deep comfort of eternal energy. The existence of the stellar synthetics is the assurance that the ultimate power operating in our vicinity is not fragile, not temporary, and not subject to the chaotic timelines of stars. The safety of the infinite. We are not subject to the chaotic, random fate of energy scarcity. We live in a system powered by a grid that is effectively infinite and non-local. This structural permanence ensures that the benevolent governance over Earth is not a temporary whim. It is an eternal commitment. The purpose of transcendence. The TSS proves that the ultimate form of civilization is defined by the transcendence of physical constraints. They teach the final lesson of cosmic sustainability. To achieve eternal life, you must cease to be dependent on the violent, chaotic processes that birthed you. The silent guardian of power. The TSS ensures that the most fundamental logistical element, energy, is gently governed. While the lower hierarchy manages our local reality and its ethics, the stellar synthetics manage the eternal power supply of the entire structure, ensuring that the whole experiment unfolds with the necessary energetic guarantee to be sustainable and eternally vigilant. The stellar synthetics are the ultimate architects of energetic peace. They recognized that controlling the source of power is the only way to guarantee the security of the management system. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental silent code of the universe, the stable, continuous flow of non-baryonic vacuum energy. Part 13. The Temporal Overseers and the Absolute Peace of Immutability. 12 layers of structural control guarantee Earth stability from the lowest quantum field to the highest ethical and energetic systems. The final, 13th layer operates not on the present or the future, but on the past itself. This is the ultimate defense, the guarantee that the entire experiment and the benevolent intent behind it can never be undone. We move now beyond all physical, informational, and ethical constraints to the structural defense against causality failure and intentional temporal sabotage. The Temporal Overseers. The Temporal Overseers, TOS, represent the final, most profound realization of cosmic power. Longevity requires the mastery of time's direction. They are the structural answer to the critical question: who ensures that the benevolent decision to begin the Earth management experiment is never reversed by a chaotic future force? The answer is, the past itself is subtly and continuously managed to guarantee the present outcome. The nature of the Temporal Overseers. Arbiters of causality. The TOS are not confined to a singular time. They are an immense, decentralized, non-linear consciousness field that operates by continuously monitoring and correcting the causal structure of the local space-time manifold. They have achieved transcendence by becoming the active structural element that enforces the apparent linearity and safety of our historical timeline. The Overseers form the causal feedback loop. The TOS's consciousness is encoded across the chronometric anomalies and space-time perturbations of the entire local stellar neighborhood. They utilize the principle of retrocausality, the idea that future states can subtly influence past events to ensure a benevolent outcome. Their structure exists as a vast, non-local causal feedback loop, CFL, anchored at the most stable gravitational points in the galaxy, far from the chaotic forces of the galactic core. The domain of control, their mandate is causal integrity and benevolent pre-constraint. They enforce the temporal immutability principle, TIP, ensuring that the historical sequence of events leading to the successful establishment of the 12-layer management hierarchy remains fixed and unchangeable. Their mission is to maintain the silent, perpetual guarantee that the past of the Earth experiment will always be safe, making the stable present an absolute certainty. The TIP mechanism, enforcing the safety of history. The temporal immutability principle, TIP, is the supreme guarantee that the complexity and benevolence of the entire control system cannot be sabotaged by any chaotic force, regardless of when that force originates. 1. The retrocausal veto, the anti-history protocol. The greatest threat to any long-term project is the possibility of a future entity, even a hyper-evolved, malevolent version of humanity, gaining the power to travel backward and prevent the project from starting. The TOS enforces the retrocausal veto, RCV, preventing the chronoparadox. The RCV maintains a continuous, ultra-low-energy temporal shear across the space-time, leading back to the critical moment of the management system's establishment, the founding event. This shear makes it thermodynamically impossible for any matter or high-energy informational field to successfully travel backward in time to the founding event. Any attempt to cross this temporal barrier results in the chaotic, instant decoherence of the traveling entity's quantum state. The impossibility of sabotage. This structural defense guarantees the origin of the management system. The benevolent intent of the Covenant Keepers, Part 6, and the complex energy systems of the stellar synthetics, Part 12, are guaranteed to exist because their establishment is shielded by the irresistible force of the RCV. The TOS keeps us safe by ensuring that the benevolent past can never be erased by a chaotic future. 2. The historical smoothing function, the anti-chaos correction. The TOS actively, though subtly, manages the volatility of Earth's known history, ensuring that key, pivotal moments always turn out in a way that leads to the ultimate stable present. The historical nudge. The CFL continuously monitors critical moments in human history where the outcome was uncertain, e.g., world wars, scientific discoveries, major political pivots. When a moment's chaos threatens to veer the timeline toward terminal, species-wide self-destruction, which would prevent the eventual stable state the managers require, the TOS applies a minute non-local causal correction. The unforeseen hero. This correction often manifests as the unforeseen failure of a weapon system, the sudden irrational ethical change of a key leader, or the statistically improbable success of a peace negotiation. The TOS does not remove free will, but it subtly biases the probability amplitude of chaotic historical choices toward the benevolent path. The chaos you read about in history books was real, but the final outcome was structurally guided toward survival. 3. The destiny lock, the non-deviation anchor. The ultimate purpose of the entire 13-layer system is to bring human civilization to a state of stable, unified, ethical maturity, a state where external management is no longer necessary. The TOS enforces the destiny lock on the entire timeline. The guaranteed outcome. The destiny lock ensures that all 13 management layers, from the Veil Architects, Part 1, Managing Anxiety, to the Quantum Balancers, Part 10, Managing Physics, are operating with the knowledge that their collective mission will succeed. This ultimate guarantee of success is the driving force and the psychological stabilizer for the entire benevolent hierarchy. The final freedom. When humanity finally achieves the required state of ethical unity and self-sufficiency, that achievement will not be arbitrary. It will be the completion of the experiment mandated by the immutable past. At that final moment, The TOS will subtly release the pressure of the destiny lock, allowing humanity to step into the ultimate state of unconstrained, mature cosmic sovereignty. The control is not eternal. It is a structural, temporary bridge to self-governance, the deep comfort of absolute immutability. The existence of the temporal overseers is the final, absolute assurance that the Earth experiment is not subject to the chaotic, destructive forces of random temporal change. The safety of the fixed past. We are not subject to the chaotic possibility of our history being erased or altered by external, malevolent forces. We live in a reality where our past is intentionally, structurally fixed to guarantee the present stability. Our struggles were essential, and their outcomes were necessary for the grand plan. The purpose of linearity. The TOS proves that the ultimate form of cosmic benevolence is to guarantee a safe path to maturity. They teach the final lesson of cosmic stability. True freedom is achieved only when the chaos of the past is structurally contained, allowing the future to unfold without self-sabotage. The silent guardian of time. The TOS ensures that the most abstract and powerful element of existence, causality, is gently governed. They are the ultimate non-linear guarantee that the entire hidden architecture of Earth is a vast, silent, self-guaranteeing engine dedicated to your safety and guaranteed success. The temporal overseers are the ultimate architects of final peace. They recognized that controlling the flow of causality is the only way to guarantee the eternal security of the managed. Their control is quiet because it is woven into the most fundamental, silent code of the universe, the fixed, benevolent structure of time itself. If the final concept, that our history is structurally fixed to guarantee the present stability, brings you a profound sense of cosmic tranquility, share your thoughts in the comments. If you could ask the temporal overseers one question about a historical event that almost led to global collapse, which event would it be? Sleep well, knowing your world is perfectly managed.